I'm back again with another video, and today I'm gonna be doing a little review for the Arrtx Watercolor Sketchbook. So let's get her open. So yeah, the sketchbook feels so nice. It's like, this is like a pocket. Could you use that as a pocket? I think you could. Wow. Okay, so we've got a front pocket. I've never seen that before. Right, so it's again one of the sketchbooks where it lays completely flat. The starting pages definitely need something to lay down here so that you can prop it up if you're using it both sides. But yeah, so there is two pages here that feel different. So this is the watercolor sketchbook. It is 100% cotton, it's highly absorbent, color lifting, and it's a hot press book. It's got 300 GSM, it is an A5, and it has 24 pages. So this should be really fun to try. Let's see what the paper's like. So like I mentioned, the two first pages, they must be due to the binding to not waste the nice paper. They inserted two of like regular. And this is where the sketchbook starts. And as you can see, the pages are fairly thick. And yeah, it's got some wonderful texture. I'm so excited to try it out. Okay, so it's got little marks and scuffs in the book. That's unexpected. But yeah, so it's also got the tearaway pages. They're not, so this one has the tearaway where you can tear it like halfway through, which is different to their other sketchbooks where it's glued. So you have the main side there, and then as you can see, the pages just tear out, which is sad because, you know, sometimes if you were to use these sketchbooks as your main sketchbook, you'd want the pages to be a bit more secure. I saw somebody talking about this, I can't remember who. They were using one of these as their regular sketchbook, and they painted over like the full two spreads and stuff, and due to the moisture and things, it started lifting. So for this sketchbook, as you can see, I don't think that would happen. I think the binding, it feels like the binding has been done using thread, and you can see that here. And yeah, so the tearaway is further away, so this would be perfect as a main sketchbook. And yeah, I'm excited to try it. I love when the sketchbook lays flat. And yeah, the first pages don't really bother me because what you can do is lay something like a tin and then open your page, and then you'll be able to use it. Obviously tin might not be perfect for this size because it's a lot smaller, but something along the lines where it's lay flat and then you can keep opening the pages. And yeah, it's wonderful. I love this design. And the same for the end, sometimes you'll need to prop it up, and that's what I usually do. But yeah, the pages are super thick, and because obviously this has been opening for the first time, they're super stiff and they don't lay flat just yet, but it'll come with time. To go back and touch upon some of the sketchbooks, so this is the A5 and it's the hot press watercolor sketchbook, and it comes in this beautiful red shiny color. I don't know how well you can see it on the camera, but it's absolutely like incredible. It looks like, I don't know, it just looks amazing. Like, I really love this design. I suppose if you went really into the design, you could cut this off so that you could use it as like a regular sketchbook where you can stick stickers on. But I'm loving this design. You could still make like space for a sticker. Obviously, I don't know if you guys do this too, but whenever you get your sketchbook, you always want to decorate the cover, which is why I mostly opt for like a regular, just one color sketchbook like this one as well, because I love displaying some of my own designs and some from artists that I really like. And yeah, so that is definitely something that I thought like this wouldn't really work that well, but as we discovered, this is like an protection kind of cover. This reminds me from when I was a kid and I would cover my books with like magazines or something and then like roll them in and tape them on the inside to protect the covers. And yeah, so you could definitely, I think, cut this off. Not that I'm gonna leave it as it is because I think it's beautiful. And yeah, I could definitely put something in the middle to decorate it or on the back because, but then again, it's so beautiful. I don't even want to. I don't want to ruin it. This is going to be my main sketchbook as I am on the end of this one. I've literally got like 2 or 3 pages left. So I'm going to be testing this one out and yeah, I'm going to use it as my main sketchbook until I finish this one. I'm going to try some things out and see how well it does and what mediums it can handle and all of that good stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna test out the watercolors on this paper. I'm gonna go in wet, I'm gonna wet the page first and then I'm gonna go in with the watercolor. I'm actually surprised because this water is picking up the pencil a little bit, or maybe it's just from the water pot, it's a little bit stained, but yeah, that is a little bit surprising. But I wanted to test out a few different techniques maybe. I'm not very good at watercolor, I just do what feels right. Okay, so I am gonna go in with this like yellowy orange color. These watercolors are, half of it or most of it is by Holbein. It's the Arrtx Watercolor. I've also got a couple of Rosa, the purple ones, and then I've got the Paul Rubens like neon colors, as well as a Winsor & Newton Opera, like the bright pink. So yeah, let's see. So I can already tell that the sketchbook is quite nice and it doesn't absorb the water straight away. So like the water stays on the surface, and that is what like mostly seen in watercolor paper, where you're able to like mix the layers on top in a sense where you can keep like putting paint down with it drying super quickly. And yeah, that's something that you like rarely see in sketchbooks specifically, because most sketchbooks are like, I feel like more meant for like drier mediums like markers and like gouache, where you don't really need to like layer all the layers first. However, like sometimes I prefer that, but if you're using watercolors, I would definitely say that this sort of paper is the best. And I'm glad that they have different choices between like the sketchbooks and the papers that you can pick. I mean, people really like cold pressed because of the like cold pressed paper does this effect even more so, where the only difference is the paper is a little bit rougher and it's got more like texture, which is something that I'm not really the biggest fan of. I have spoken many times on this channel how much I love smooth paper, so the smoother the paper the better for me. And yeah, I mean, I'm starting to mellow out on the texture recently. Like I've not been like minding my work looking a little bit textury, I guess you could say, but at the same time it is something that I do look at. If I'm getting like a sketchbook, I'll always opt for less texture. They almost look like little stars. It's interesting because the paint doesn't really like flood over, like even though I wet the page first and I'm applying paint after, there's very minimal amount of like spreading, like I forgot what the name is, but like it kind of looks like fireworks when it like spreads out. So it's kind of interesting. You can still like layer it where you need it to go instead of it like completely running away. But the page is still very wet. I don't know how well you can see on the camera, but they do spread out. You can see by the little areas here on the pumpkin. Okay, as you saw, the first pumpkin that I did was kind of like a wet on wet technique, and then for this second one I wanted to try something a little bit more different. So what I did was I dry brushed over the page with my color, and you can see all of these like textures that effect created, and I kind of wanted to let this like white page shine through as well as like extra bit of like, I don't know, like texture and highlights. And then for this third pumpkin, I'm doing like a one layer with color and then working over the top with more. I'm kind of touching up on all of the pumpkins as I go as well as they dry. So the first one, as you can see, kind of like bled through more because I added a bunch of those dots, and the reference that I was using, it had like a bunch of like texture and dots by itself, so I wanted to kind of try and get that, but I didn't realize how much the little dots would bleed, so they kind of do look like stars. I also wanted to try using my water brush and different kind of watercolors. I'm using, as I mentioned, quite a lot of different brands and types and stuff, and I wanted to see how well they all work. The watercolor shows super vibrant on this paper, like it dries crazy bright, and it's so unexpected because usually when I'm painting with watercolor, I don't know why, but it always looks a little bit muted in the end, like when it's fully dry, but this one really surprised me at how vibrant it is. To step away from the bright orange, I wanted to do a different kind of pumpkin. I think it's classed as a pumpkin, or is it like gourds or something along those lines? But yeah, anyway, so the absorption of the paper is really good. It doesn't absorb the paint and the water straight away, so you're able to go back on it, as I mentioned before as well. And then the page quality itself is great. I love this paper. Like, it's textured enough but not crazy amounts where it's just too much and you can't understand the details in the smaller like areas. So the paint doesn't settle in areas either, so because the pages are so thick, they're 300 GSM, so and the page doesn't buckle a lot either, so when you paint it dries quite nice and flat, and as it's drying it doesn't have time to like buckle and settle in areas. It dries so nicely and you're able to create quite nice effects. So I'm going in with some pencils to like kind of bring areas in a little bit more detail, and I was so surprised at how well pencils layer on this paper. I don't know what it is, but it's just like they're so crispy and like bright looking. I don't know why, but like usually my pencils, when I'm laying them over the top of like watercolor and gouache, they don't appear as bright as they did in this. I don't know if it's just the paper itself or something else. So for this painting, I wanted to go in like really detailed and see how well the details will show up. And first I did the sketch in a color pencil, and then I went in with just a regular graphite to kind of like piece together the details. I will say that I found it a little bit more difficult like sketching on this paper just because of the texture, but other than that, like, I think it's great, and I think this painting itself turned out really good, even though it was really experimental. And like I mentioned, I'm not a watercolor artist. I did practice a lot of watercolor techniques like at the start of the year mainly and last year, but I'm kind of like, I don't know, I'm leaning towards more of gouache these days, acrylic gouache and traditional gouache, and yeah, like more heavy body mediums, because I don't know, I just really struggle with the layering. But this paper made it so easy to layer, like the way, like I mentioned, when it dries it's just flat, and the color and just everything looks so great, so it was quite easy. And I also wanted to test something that it mentions about this paper, that it's like good for lifting paint off, and you can see the little orbs. I kind of tested it out with that, and they're not wrong. Like, it actually lifts quite nicely. I could have done a better job and lifted more, but I wanted those orbs to kind of like be white in the middle, which is why I used was the masking fluid, as you saw, with the little orbs with the little dots and everything else for the mushrooms. And I wanted to test that out because I know some paper just cannot handle it because it will just peel off. I did encounter one of the mushrooms peeling, but I think it's because the way that I was like peeling off the masking fluid was a little bit wrong, so it just kind of like uplifted the paper, but I was able to like kind of pick it off, and it was not a bother at all. Like, it didn't decrease the quality of the paper, it didn't like make crazy like pilling or anything like that, so I was actually really surprised. And this was a super fun painting to do, and I've always wanted to like do this like layered, as you can see, like super layered, super detailed like foliage, and I don't know why, but I just felt like doing it today, and it turned out great. So one technique that I didn't test out with the masking fluid is putting it on top of the watercolor and then peeling it off once it's dry, but as you can see, like, it peeled off no problem, and I'm sure that if you were to put it on watercolor now and then peel it off again, it would also work pretty well. It might lift the pigment a little bit, but other than that, yeah, I love this paper, and I love this piece as well. Like, it's, I don't know, it's so different, definitely not something that I usually do, but I love how, like, I don't know, cartoony, but at the same time, like, very illustrative, and I don't know, I just love how it turned out. And I love how adding all these little details to this paper, like, it shows up, and mainly the texture for my paper is what, like, causes me to not add a lot of detail. If there is a lot of grain and a lot of, like, texture on the paper itself, it's so difficult to see any texture that you paint, but for this, like, as you can see, it's really good. I just wanted to say thank you, Arrtx. Thank you so much for sending me this sketchbook. I'm so overjoyed and delighted to use it, and I'm definitely going to be using it as my main, and you'll see a lot more of this one. Another thing I wanted to mention was that, as you can see, I'm not very active on YouTube this month. It's because I'm participating in the Peachtober and Mosstober challenges. I'm using prompts from both, and it's taking up all of my time because I'm doing these paintings for each day, and no matter how ahead I get, I still fall behind, and yeah, so it's taken up a lot of my time. But I'm so determined and dedicated to finishing this challenge, so I will hope to come back to you guys and show you all 31 pieces once I do finish them. And yeah, I will leave some final thoughts, but thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you again in the next video, and yeah, thank you so much for being here, and thank you, Arrtx, for sending me the lovely sketchbook. Okay, so what do I think about this sketchbook? I think it's wonderful. I'm definitely going to be using it a lot more. As you can see, I didn't do anything for the first spread or the second. Granted, these two pages are completely different texture, so yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do with these. Maybe just like some little sketches or some pen drawings or some doodles. And then we've also got the first spread with the first watercolor page, and as well as the other ones, I haven't done anything here. And then this is the first painting that you saw of the pumpkins, and I think it turned out really good. I love how vibrant the colors are, and I love how you can layer the pencil over and the pencil shows up really well. I think that's the best like way of my pencil showing up on any paper. I think it's because of the paper. I'm not sure why, but the pencils are so bright and like really well. And then here is the second and third painting. I know I did it quite like in a funny order. I did that one second and then this one, but it's because I also wanted to test out the other side of the paper. So obviously, usually with watercolor paper, one side is like the normal, and then the back side usually is a little bit different. However, I didn't really notice that much of a difference. You can kind of see a little bit of a difference in texture on both sides. This side is a little bit more textured than this side. However, when I was painting on it, it really didn't make a difference at all. If anything, I kind of think this side absorbed the paint a little bit nicer in a way. I don't know, it maybe it's because I'm looking and it's gouache, so that's another thing. I wanted to test the back side of the paper. It's really good. And then I also wanted to test the different mediums. So as you can see, I didn't really go very adventurous with my mediums this time around. I usually do like a page with different mediums to test out how different media goes on these papers, but I just wanted to go straight in and paint. I wanted to test out like the gouache and the watercolor, because that's what this sketchbook is intended for. It's a watercolor sketchbook, so that's kind of like my intent. I want to use it how it's meant to be used. And then you'll definitely see more videos of me working in this sketchbook, and then we can explore more mediums in those. And yeah, so as you can see, I did this like little wolf like dark watercolor scene. I went in quite crazy with the with the highlights and like the glowing effects and stuff, but I think because it's Halloween, as you can see, very Halloween themed, and yeah, that's kind of like my intention. Mushrooms, very autumnal, so yeah, plenty of little baby mushrooms here. And then the glowing effects and the wolf, I think it really creates this kind of nice atmosphere. And then obviously the pumpkins, mushrooms, and what else do you need? That is how I see Halloween and October itself. So as you can also see, everything's dried perfectly. Like, even though I've got quite intense amounts of watercolor and stuff on both sides, the paper is so thick and it just dries very straight. Granted, I've had it closed, but I haven't like pressed it down with anything heavy, and I reckon if you do that, it'll dry even flatter. This side as well, like, this is really impressive. I'm so excited to play in this sketchbook more.